What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad, Sean, and today, reactions to the classics. We have a first-time artist here that we're reviewing in full, Mr. Leonard Cohen. We've done many song reactions of him, but never a full album review, and we're going to his third record, Songs of Love and Hate, a very heavy, powerful record.
Yes.
So looking forward to diving into the quick facts and track-by-track review here. Before we do, though, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. That helps us out in YouTube's algorithm, as well as hit that big red subscribe button. We upload every single day in a variety of genres, and if you'd like to hit us up on Facebook or our social media, you can check us out down below, as well as our Patreon, because we're doing this for our guy, longtime patron and supporter, Mr. Bruce, who has told us a lot about Leonard Cohen and his effect on Canada, as Bruce is a Canadian himself. So always appreciate you, Bruce, and the info you give.
Yeah, and appreciate the support as the patrons make us able to continue to keep this show rolling, man.
Absolutely. So all that to say, let's get into the quick facts of this before we start going track by track.
All right, third studio album, you already referenced it, released in March of 1971. Highly acclaimed, 295 on the Rolling Stones Top 500 albums of all time. And although it only went to 145 in the US, it's his most successful album internationally. It went to 4 in the UK and 8 in Australia. For it, he reunited with producer Bob Johnston, who was at the helm for his previous album, Songs from a Room. In 1991, Cohen revealed the recording of this album had been a difficult time for him because, quote, absolutely everything was beginning to fall apart around me, my spirit, my intentions, my will. So I went into a deep and long depression. In that, the front of the album sleeve sparsely detailed black and white photo of Cohen smiling with several days beard growth. The back cover, it doesn't even have a track listing, quotes Cohen's short poem, They Lock Up a Man. Just a couple years after this came out, in 1973, he did an interview where he said he didn't really like this album. He felt it was overproduced and just didn't really like it. I wonder, as time went on, if he thought more highly of it. But that was 2 years after, and he might have still been in that depression that he was talking about.
No, for sure, and that depression that he was in is definitely felt on the tracks of this album, and all songs are, of course, written by Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, and you always learn stuff. I mean, as you said, we've done some Leonard song reactions that are up here on the channel, but we also have played several songs in live streams that we do on Friday nights. I didn't know anything about him, but he didn't really get into music till he was 33, and before that, he was a novelist, a poet, and that explains some things as we get into these lyrics are unbelievable. I mean, you can tell they're written by somebody. They're high-level lyrics.
No, I'm with you. 33, a little late bloomer, especially in that time period. But,
yeah, for sure.
But man, he was bringing out the heavy guns, and we're going to start off with one of the more famous tunes in his catalog and on this record, Avalanche, and it's about 5 minutes. There's only 8 tracks on here.
Right, so they're longer songs.
And they give time to tell a story, and here you start off just with that bleakness that's throughout this entire record.
Yeah, he does a great job setting the atmosphere on this one with his vocals, man. It's just
exactly like we've done tracks where it's been later in his career,
right?
Where he has more ruggedness, but here, it's early on, so though Leonard doesn't have a voice of an angel per se, he still has that maturity there that you perk up like, what is this man
saying
about to say? And like all the great singer-songwriters, I think this track can be interpreted in a couple of different ways, either to a love interest,
right,
or more interestingly, as I was researching, possibly this is from the point of view of God himself. And some lyrics to back that up. I have begun to long for you, I who have no greed. I have begun to ask for you, I who have no need. You say you've gone away from me, but I can feel you when you breathe. He also notes, I myself am the pedestal. I think this is just a fantastic opener to kind of get us prepared for the other 7 tracks to come.
Yeah, and he mentioned years later that the way he played the chop guitar on here,
very unique
guitar
style.
Like the acoustic drives the song, like in a quick manner. Usually you don't get that with the acoustic driving in a quick manner. So just strong vocals, backing vocals come in on this whole album at just the right points to add that emphasis. As you said, very heavy song. It's actually based on a poem that he had previously done, and a great way to open it because you know what you're in for. Whether you like the song or not, it sets the atmosphere. I do like the song, but it sets the atmosphere for the rest of the album. That takes us to Last Year's Man, over 6 minutes long. A note from his greatest hits compilation textbook. He said, "I don't know why, but I like this song. I used to play it on a Mexican 12-string until I destroyed the instrument by jumping on it in a fit of impotent fury in 1967. The song had too many verses. It took about 5 years to sort out the right ones. Acoustic's the main thing again. Vocals not quite as haunting. What a story. Nice chorus of female at the end, and there's also a shout out to Joan of Arc in here, which is the subject of the last song.
Yeah, it's going to kind of come into play later. No, here you just see Leonard's poetic chops on full.
Yeah, it took me a while to go over these lyrics, man. I'm like, okay, I got to process all this.
I mean, you have maybe one of the best lines on the entire record. Some women wait for Jesus and some women wait for Cain, so I hung upon my altar and I hoist my axe again. I mean,
yeah, that was unreal, man.
I mean, and the lines like that are just littered not only in this song but through this whole entire record. And I thought it was interesting the way he noted he threw in Bethlehem and Babylon. He was able to mix both biblical and apocalyptic energy. Again, those themes of a kind of raining down, that eventually maybe all of our work's just going to be rained down and we'll end up being last year's man. We're all going to be old news and not remembered 100 years from now. That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, but it gives you the perspective that we really need, that all this stuff that we do isn't quite that important. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Unless people 100 years from now, if you're watching this review of Leonard Cohen, we say hi from
We say hi, yeah. Hey, say what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then that takes us to one of the bleakest songs ever. Wow, this one is absolutely a gut punch.
And it's 6 minutes long.
Ooh, we have Dress Rehearsal Rag.
In a 1974 interview, Leonard said, "There are some songs which I never sing in public. I'm not trying to be super sensitive or coy about it. Just that particular song I very rarely sing to myself, to friends, or at any time. It's an authentic song. I think it comes out of my own experience, but I'm not interested in. I can't somehow. I haven't been able to release that song from its private area. I was surprised myself that I recorded it. I'm not happy with the recording. I think it has a number of flaws in it, but I don't think I could ever do it again." An interviewer asked him, "You refer to yourself as a closet suicide." And he said, "Well, I'm that kind of, or one who speculates about these things in private. I no longer do. That's a song about suicide, and certainly I don't want to present myself as a potential suicide for any reason whatsoever." Obviously, powerful lyrics. You have a female or even a child choir come in there?
No, it was unfortunately named the Corona Academy Children's Choir.
Well, okay, but heck, they didn't know way back then, right? Just an FYI, I did a lot of studying on this. He definitely acknowledged his depression. There's some places that said he was actually bipolar, but it's something he struggled with. I couldn't get confirmation in enough places to say that he was bipolar, but I can that he definitely, not only here talks about it, but he talked about it several times in his life about suffering from depression.
Yeah, and that's just really detailed out in a cerebral and authentic way.
And Trey here almost has his degree in professional counseling, so I figured you would, really identify with this.
I definitely appreciated it from that aspect, just detailing out, and even the song itself, the Dress Rehearsal Rag. He's over there, shaving. He's got the razor in his hand, and then it starts to note like Santa Claus, who obviously you just think of, as a jolly man. He's coming, talking, like almost pushing Leonard closer and closer to that.
Yes, exactly.
As the song progresses, you start holding your breath, hoping that Leonard won't be pushed over the edge here. You had the fantastic lyric, "But you've used up all your coupons except the last one that seems to be written on your wrist. Now Santa Claus comes forward. That's a razor in his mitt." This song's powerful, haunting, scary, and at the end of the day, it's real, man. And that's why I appreciated it. And it's kind of a weird track to be your favorite, but just for how just striking it was, this ended up being my favorite.
Yeah, I think it was my favorite as well. And we're going to close out the A-side already with "Diamonds in the Mine." Several subjects on this, mainly environment, world's lack of prayer. And to me, it was more folk or almost country driven a little bit.
Yeah, you have a great dichotomy here with Leonard's raspy vocal with the sweeter female voice.
Yes.
And I appreciated that. You had the bass guitar coming in for the first time, again adding some texture here. And Leonard just essentially notes that everything is barren here. Not a favorite for me, but still
not for me
solid nonetheless. And then we go now to track number 5.
Yeah, we'll start off the B-side with Love Calls You by Your Name, 5 minutes, 44 seconds long. Introducing the song in 1974, Leonard said, "This next song is about that place between the beginning and the end of things in which you summon yourself. Everything that happens in your life, he frames it up by events in a very poetic way." Pretty good. Nice acoustic.
Oh, yeah.
Great songwriting. I mean, you could just say that about every song.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed the guitar playing on this one, and this is one of those tracks, as with many on here, where you can listen to 100 times and probably still uncover something different on your future listen as you're continuing to unpack the meaning here. Lots of stuff happens to Leonard here, some good, mostly bad.
Mostly bad.
But in between it, Love is still calling out his name to, I don't know, maybe keep him going on, keep him soldiering on.
Yeah, I think so. You got to have some positive. I mean, that's what life is really about. It's really understanding how to overcome obstacles and difficult things. That's really what this life is about. Sorry if you're young, but that's really what it plays out for most of us.
And then that's going to take us to
Famous Blue Raincoat, over 5 minutes long again. I know I'm repetitive in that. One of his most famous songs.
Yeah.
It's written in the form of a letter. It tells the story of a love triangle among the speaker, a woman named Jane, and the male addressee, who is identified only briefly as, quote, "my brother, my killer." This thing has everything in there, Trey. References to a German love song, Lily Marlene, to Scientology, and to Clinton Street, where Cohen lived in Manhattan in the 70s when it was a lively Latino area. Leonard said in 2010, it's about a man writing a letter to a man who had an affair with his wife. He says a song, at another time he says a song he was never completely satisfied with. He did dive into Scientology a little bit. That's why he's got all in his search for meaning on things. So that's why that appears here.
Yeah, I never knew that about Leonard. He said ultimately that, hey, he thought it might be a place to pick up some women.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. That's exactly right.
Hey, and, this one was really, really awesome because as a listener, you don't know really who Leonard's, it's almost in that form of the letter where you don't know who he's talking about, and then you get to the end, you get some just very powerful lines here. "And you treated my woman to a flake of your life, and when she came back, she was nobody's wife." And he seems resolved that it's over, noting, "If you ever come by here for Jane or for me, well, your enemy is sleeping and your woman is here." So he's writing to, the person that his wife had an affair on, and now his wife isn't the same, and yet Leonard seems resolved that, hey, maybe it wasn't just love anyway. Maybe we were already going off the rails.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You would think he'd be going wanting to kill this man, but
he just kind of accepted it. Very stripped back, which is good because, like you said, the song really sucks you in, and you're like, what's going to happen next? And you can really focus on the story unfolding without any really instrumentation to distract, even though the instrumentation's good on this album. That's going to take us to a live track.
Yeah, interesting. From
1970.
The Isle of Wight, the famous festival.
Yeah, exactly. Sing Another Song, boys. And the thing about this being a live track that I thought was almost a peculiar choice is you really don't know it's a live track except for in the very beginning and at the very end. You can hear a little bit of crowd stuff, but it didn't lend anything to the song. It didn't take anything away. He sounds the same as he does in the rest of the album, but it didn't lend anything. Usually if an artist throws a live track on an album, it's because you feel the energy from it. And I didn't feel that on this song. Not that that's a bad thing, but just an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, this was actually my least favorite tune.
It was mine as well.
On the record, I'll be curious to hear people's thoughts in the comments about that.
And he said in 1970, this is a song about a man and a woman. It pertains to dissect the intimate connections in the ordinary relationship. Coming to no satisfactory conclusions, the author of the melody abandons it and begins another song. Hence the title, Let's Sing Another Song, Boys. And you can tell, Trey, like just how cerebral and intelligent Leonard was. Even when he's explaining a song, you're like, okay, all right, you got to read it a few times. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, really soak it in. Piano heaviest here than almost any other part of the record. And detailing out the inner thoughts of this relationship is both intimate and at times you think a little bit forbidden, like, Leonard's really giving me the inside scoop on this one. So even though it wasn't my favorite track or anything, a cool little note here to just throw in a little live performance. And then we go, speaking of Joan of Arc on the second track, now she comes back here at the end.
To finish the album, the only single release.
Yeah, with the closer. And this one, I'm surprised, was released as a single.
I was shocked by that.
I would have thought maybe Avalanche or, Blue Raincoat
yeah, that's what I thought.
Up there. But Joan of Arc, for those that don't know, which I wasn't really well versed in.
I wasn't either. I mean, I knew the name, I've heard it all my life, but I wasn't well versed in her either.
She was burned at the stake, so for being
not up there on my ways that I'd like to go.
And she was still quite young at the time, and just a young woman for I can't remember the charges off the top of my head, but I think for maybe they were thinking she was a bit too promiscuous or this or that, going against maybe the church, something along those lines. And here it's from the perspective at times of Joan. She's talking, and then she sees the man down there, and he's there to be a coolness to kind of take out the fire that she's in. So I like the way he kind of put the fire of the Joan of Arc with the fire of love between these two, where they're able to be, kind of compatible together and, at times save each other. But then you start to wonder, if this guy goes in with Joan of Arc, will he get burned up as well? So
exactly. And he actually said, as he did on so many of these, I tried to find a bunch of quotes where he explained the song. In 1988, he said, "I was thinking more of this sense of a destiny that human beings have and how they meet and marry their destiny. I don't want to suggest in that song that was what she really wanted, to be a housewife. What I mean to say is that as lonely and as solitary as she was, she had to meet and be embraced by her destiny. Seen from the point of view of the woman's movement, she really does stand for something stunningly original and courageous." And some people think this has to do with Leonard's relationship or love interest in Nico.
Oh, yes. That's
from the Velvet Underground and Nico, which is an album that we have up on the channel that we love. That's neither here nor there, but at least I knew who Nico was.
Yeah, and I thought he did a great job kind of switching perspectives from Joan then to the man, as Joan was burned up, unfortunately. And, Joan, she desired that wedding dress. She desired a different way of life. And you have one of the best closing lines that you're going to hear. "Myself, I long for love and light, but must come so cruel and oh, so bright." So that just wraps up in a poetic way, as you would expect from Mr. Leonard Cohen. And that's going to take us now to our favorite tracks. I actually have Joan of Arc, I got Avalanche, and my favorite, Dress Rehearsal Rag.
I have Dress Rehearsal Rag, Blue Raincoat, and Avalanche. Now we come to the overall score. The overall score of this album is one of the most difficult I've had to do in a while. And here's why. Because the songwriting is obviously next level. I mean, the intricacies, and it's just great. And I really invite you, if you've never heard this album, to really read the lyrics, and you just get an idea of the genius that really was Leonard Cohen. His vocals, I'm just not a fan of. Now, I love Bob Dylan, and I know I've had people tell me I can't stand Dylan's voice. It's not that I can't stand Leonard's voice. I think it's just going to take me a while to get used to it.
Well, we've had a lot of people in the comments from our community say the same thing.
It just doesn't gel with me. I mean, he's almost spoken word in doing some of it, and it works because it really is poetry set to music. So it's just not something I would probably spin again. But all that to say, I'm here to give you a grade of how good this album is, and objectively looking at it, it's like an 8.0, man. It's a very good album just because his lyricism is next level.
No, I'll piggyback off some of your thoughts. This definitely is a record that you have to be, I think, in the mood to listen to.
And if you're in a great mood, maybe you need to be in a great mood to start with, so it just levels you. If you're already in a down mood, I don't know, man.
But, the interesting part about it is really just that lyricism, that poetry. It's, again, I was impressed with that unique guitar playing style. I didn't know Leonard had that.
I didn't either.
Him exactly as well. And I put this record up just with its lyrical content against any record we've reviewed, just because of, I mean, as you mentioned, the man is a poet. They're so strong, so real, great details on love, relationships, and life itself. So for that reason, I'm going to be coming in pretty strong at an 8.5.
I mean, I can see that.
Like you, is this a record I'm going to spin a ton from front to back, as opposed to some of my favorite tracks? Probably not, but that doesn't take away from how powerful,
not at all,
a piece of art that it is. So thank you, Bruce, for bringing us
Bruce.
Our first Leonard Cohen record, man. I'm sure we'll be diving into some more about his work, either through a review or a reaction down the road. Dad, appreciate all the quotes you were able to bring us from Leonard himself.
Hey, man, I wanted to try to do it some portion of justice for a lyrical genius like this, man.
And let us know below, y'all, what you think of Songs of Love and Hate and Leonard's music himself. And until next time, happy listening. Thanks for watching, and we will see ya.